Have you ever wondered why the rich continue to get richer, but yet the poor kind of continue to stay exactly where they are? It's actually something called momentum, and it's actually pretty easy probably for most of you to understand. In the simplest way, when rich people have or even start off with a little bit of money and they're able to invest that money in assets like rental property or stocks and bonds, maybe a startup business or something else, those investments create money. And when that money doesn't have to go to, regular bills and expenses like a mortgage or a cable bill, the rich are able to take that money that they made from that investment and reinvest it. So that initial investment that creates additional money, and that money reinvested creates even additional money off that money that was reinvested. That sort of investing, making money, reinvesting over and over and over again starts this snowball where pretty soon the amount of money that you made from your investments is actually making you money that you could even take out the principal, the original amount of money that you invested in it, and still be making money month over month, year over year. That little snowball effect is what we could call momentum, or a feedback loop of action, which is the investment, equals results, which is return on investment. That feedback loop is actually what makes a lot of things successful in our life. If you've ever gone and started that gym, New Year's resolutions just came around, it's January here. A lot of people say, hey, I want to go to the gym. If you go to any one of these seminars where they talk about how to grow your business or how to just naturally improve yourself, usually they'll have you leave with some sort of action plan, a 30-day, 90-day, 60-day, whatever it is. That action plan is usually centered around massive action. Not just a little bit of action, but massive action. So if in a typical day, bold class for real estate, for example, they might say to you that your target is to make 20 to 25 cold calls a day. The bold class might ask you to do actually 50 or maybe even 100 a day to take massive action, do 2, 3, 10x. You'll hear Grant Cardone all the time say, go 10x. The reason why that is because if you take massive action, you're going to get results. Even if you're completely crappy at something in a trait, you're not good at sales, you're not good at cold calling, you're bound to be lucky. So if you're not good, so you make 25 calls and you get nowhere, when you make 100 calls, you're bound to get at least one person to say yes or to take that appointment. That appointment, those results create an emotional feel inside of you of happiness or gratitude. You feel like you've done something. If it's in fitness and you've taken massive action for the first 30 days, think of the Whole30 diet where you eliminate sugar for 30 days. At the end of that, you're going to see results. Those results, maybe it's a little bit flatter of a stomach, maybe you feel better about yourself, more energy, whatever it is, those results put a feeling or emotion within you that changes your mindset and pushes you forward to create, and you guessed it, more action. That action results feedback loop that you use in finance is actually the exact same feedback loop that you'll use in dieting, starting a new business, or any other thing, even working on a relationship with your spouse. The rich get richer because of this feedback loop. Now, let's take it to a financial aspect. If I gave you $10 today, and this is actually an example we use in the 13th grade, our financial literacy course that you can find. If you need a link to it, DM me. But if I gave you $10, you gave me $10, probably better that way, and the very next day I gave you $300, would you be pretty excited about it? You'd probably be pretty happy. If you put $10 and you went and bought a scratch off at the local, QT, 7-Eleven, whatever gas station you have up there, and that scratch off yielded you $300, you'd be pretty freaking happy. What if I was to tell you that if every day you gave me $10, I gave you back $300 the very next day, like clockwork? There was nothing you really had to do. You'd probably think it was some sort of a gimmick or a scam or a scheme, but let's say you did it and I gave you $300. And you thought pretty good about that. So the next day you want to call me my bluff. So you gave me another $10. And the very next day I gave you $300. And let's say we continued this process over and over and over again for a week. So for 7 days, you gave me $10, and for all 7 days after that, I gave you $300. At some point, what would be your mindset? It would probably be to go find as many frickin' $10 bills as you could find so that you could achieve as many $300 payouts. Well, folks, that's exactly what happens when you shift your mindset of one of consuming or consumption and spending to one of saving and investing. If you put $10 into an IRA right now, let's say you're 20 years old, you start putting $10 into an IRA. That $10, no more money added to it, just simply $10 and an 8% return over the next 45 years, which would be you moving from 20 years old to 65 years old, would, you guessed it, earn you $300. The reason why, knowing that, it's still so hard to invest that $10 for something that's 45 years away is because that results or action, investment, results, feedback loop, return on investment is so long, that bridge is so far away that it's extremely hard for you to maintain the feedback loop. If I do something today and I get an instant gratification from it, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Or even if I do something today and I get a gratification from it next day or the following week. If I can go 30 days of doing something over and over and over again and I gradually see results, I'm going to continue most likely to do that particular thing. And that over time changes my habit and also my mindset. However, if I do something today and I don't see results for it for a year or for 6 months, or in this case 45 years, it's extremely hard mentally to continue on. And this is why you tend to see, even as a side, people spend a little less effort into their career. A lot of people don't realize that if you spend a tremendous amount of time on your career today, while you may not get any benefits from it today, and you might be putting a lot of work and feel that you're underpaid for the effort that you're putting in, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll have developed a series of skills that will be extremely valuable to some other employer that's out there. So by working hard early in your 20s or in your 30s pays huge dividends in your 40s. People don't get promoted and move up simply by just knowing somebody. Well, in some cases, maybe they do. But for most cases, it's just hard work. It's the grit. The point is that when you start off wealthy, you already have a little bit of money to invest. And that money that you invest and that income that you get from it, we'll call it passive income because you're not really doing much, it's just your money making money. You don't need it, which allows you to go invest more money. And so that feedback loop, it's easier for them. In addition, keep in mind that if you come from a wealthy family or somewhere privileged, you've probably understand because you've seen your family and the people around you or your circle of influence, and this is why your circle of influence is so important, is all doing the same thing. If you grew up and your uncles and your cousins and your mom and dad were business owners and they took a lot of their money and they used the principles of the rich by investing, creating passive income and reinvesting that to build that over and over and over again, you're more likely to grow up, invest, gain passive income and continue on that cycle because it's a part of your core DNA. If you grew up and your parents lived paycheck to paycheck and every single dollar that they had, they spend and consume, it's not part of your core DNA. The cool thing is that you can change that. One, you need the knowledge and what you need to do to build. Now, I'm going to go plug us again, but we do a 13th grade. That's a financial literacy course. So we take you through the entire picture of moving from nothing to something in a very short period of time. We're talking that 5 to 10 years, not instantly. Not only do we break down the entire process, the entire roadmap, but we go in and provide actionable items through each step that you need to do, not just theory, but this is what you can actually do today to start to build, that snowball. But that knowledge, believe it or not, is not enough. If I provide you the knowledge, it simply is not enough for you to go act. And the reason why is if you took that knowledge and you acted on it, it's still going to take you a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years till you really start to see some of that momentum build up. Building wealth is like a hockey stick. graph. It's very low, not a whole lot of return, and then you start to get a little bit of income in passive income in results, and that return on investment as you reinvest it just goes up higher, higher, and higher. So that pathway is not a straight line. That pathway is really no results for a long period of time and then tremendous results at the end, and that takes time. So the point of, during that gap between you putting action and you getting results, you need a support. And that support, friends, is a circle of influence. And that's why it's actually one of the first things that we cover in the 13th grade. And it's actually the first thing I covered on my podcast. Your circle of influence is incredibly important, because if you listen to people like myself or Grant Cardone or Gary Vee or Tim Ferriss, or your uncles or cousins are also wealthy, or you read other books and you're listening to podcasts constantly on a regular basis, and you listen to people that have done it, and they continuously tell you to keep focused, they slowly nudge your mind into a state of being that will keep you focused on continuously doing that effort. We also teach about making some of your investments automatic, so it's not something that you consciously have to do. We posted a video about that yesterday. If you make your stuff automatic, you don't have to make that choice to do it, and therefore you automatically are taking action, you're automatically investing, which later on down the road, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll see the results from. I guarantee you though, if you provide and you apply some of the principles that the wealthy use to move from nothing to something and become wealthy, 5 years from now, when you start to see those results and you start to see that, like this stuff actually works, you will be absolutely unstoppable. You will move from a life of not trying to be frugal because, you got to be frugal because, this is the way what you got to do. You'll become frugal because you'll realize that purchasing a pair of Gucci shoes for $325 really means $4,000 later on down in life, or that $5 Starbucks that you get every single day ends up being $1 million after 45 years. You'll start to live consciously, and what we call, you'll start to purchase with purpose, or with the mindset of what it actually means when you make those purchases. And subconsciously, your mindset will tell you it's really not worth to go splurge on that extra little thing now, because that amount of money that I'm going to have later on down the line is going to be 10x what the cost of this is. And I personally, instead of taking $10 now and going have an extra fancy lunch, I'd rather save that $10, invest it, and have that $300 later on down the line. Because if I do it correctly, that means I retire at 35 or 45, or my age right now at 39, you'll achieve FIRE and no longer ever have to work again. The contrast to that is, if you don't do that, you consistently live paycheck to paycheck. You'll be like most of Americans right now, finding yourself facing at 65, realizing that Social Security is not going to be there, or it's not enough for you to live on, and really having no exit strategy to live a life of finally not having to work every single day and put in those hours. For more information, feel free to subscribe to this channel. We post stuff virtually every day. You can also get information on our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We do a podcast anywhere you download podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. It's called Decision Points. Google my name, Elliot Schoner, is probably down on the list. You got to subscribe, vote us, give us 5 stars. We'd like to get at the top of the list. The point of following us and other people like us that constantly feed you, again, is about creating a circle of influence that's going to keep you motivated. Because as you create action, as you start to do your investments, as you start to live a little bit differently, you're not going to get the results right away. So listening to people that have done it is going to give you the encouragement to keep the course, so that you wake up 5 years from now, 10 years from now, with a crap ton of money sitting in your hands, achieving FIRE, ready to be financially free, retire early, fire your boss, and finally get to do and live life according to your own terms. And that, my friends, is pretty awesome.